Well, Nhlanhla, I see that leaderboard is continuing to move, and some of the numbers now that we are looking at is actually 50%, 50.29% of the votes that have been collated, and a picture beginning to emerge. But one interesting party that we're going to look at in those numbers as you're looking there is the African Heart Congress. It is the party that is being led by Moloko Mpolobosho. It is in the government of local unity in the city of Johannesburg. They, of course, have been looking to find a place in this particular election, sitting now currently at 7,620 votes there, as you can see on that board. And let's welcome into our studios here at the Rock, Ntate Moloko Mpolobosho. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this morning. When you are looking at that number right now at 50% count, considering that you put out your manifesto 16th of April, if I am correct, do you think that timing was right? Do you think your message...
13th of April.
13th of April, yeah. Do you think that timing was right for your message to filter through to the people?
Thank you very much, Professor. I'd like just to greet the viewers at home, and thank you for having me. It was not enough time. We started late, but we have tried and to manage to cover some of provinces, as like Limpopo and Free State, Gauteng, and also KZN, and also then Mpumalanga, Northwest, and Northern Cape. Actually, then we've managed to cover close to 8 provinces.
8 provinces?
Yes.
And where were you expecting to get at least a center of your support that would guarantee for you some kind of sizable number that at least could see you getting a seat in parliament?
Truly speaking, it was 2 provinces, which is Gauteng and Limpopo.
Yeah.
Those are the main area where I was expecting volume of numbers from those 2 provinces. Because in Free State I've got only 2 regions.
Right.
And when you check then and KZN, I've got only 1 region. And when you look at the Eastern Cape, I have a 2 region, which is Sterkspruit and Kokstad.
Right.
And Northwest also I have 3 regions. Then also I have a council at that side of Northwest. So, but the base number where I'm expecting the big numbers is Limpopo and Gauteng, is where I've got numbers.
You're one of those parties that, if we look at your lead items, I think you've got about 10 items, but one of the items that you've got in your manifesto is the question of illegal immigration. Now, there are many parties that went on this ticket of illegal immigration, one of them being the Patriotic Alliance, seemingly having done very well on that particular ticket.
Yes.
Action SA is one party that also went on that. They're showing some kind of showing on that leaderboard. Yes. Why do you think that message didn't work for you?
Yes, actually then my message didn't work well to the party because, I didn't get much coverage. Really true speaking, then as African Heart Congress, then we are supporting that part to say that really, if you look at real true speaking, if you check the crime in our country, is very bad. When you go to township, you'll find that the street are closed by stone, there's a bomb gate, and every day there's a crime. Go to the town, I can't even mention their name, you'll find that these people who selling the cell phone in public, daylight, the police just pass. They can't even ask you, why you sell them these cell phones? Yeah. And when you go down back to the township, the community then they're crying. They've been robbed every afternoon, every morning, they've been robbed. And when you check where this cell phone going, there's a market. And when you check in this town, there's a market. That's why this young boy, they've got that power then to rob then our brothers and sisters the cell phones because they know there's a market. So that's why, yes, African Heart Congress, we are saying that market, we need to be close. How to do that? We must check these undocumented people. They have to make sure that these people then they must go back.
Now, Dr. Mpolobosho, one would say you are in the government of local unity, right, in the city of Johannesburg.
Yes.
I saw you came out, you supported the budget that was passed by the MMC of Finance, Data Morero, right? I spoke to the EFF. The EFF MMC for community safety is unhappy with that budget, because part of the reasons is that he says it doesn't give him enough money to deal with the very same thing that you're talking about. Legal occupation of buildings, for example, crime. He needs to hire more, get more boots on the ground. And he says, I didn't get enough money in this budget to be able to do that. It seems there's some synergies in terms of what you want done on the ground. Why would you not have supported that cry by the EFF?
Maybe I'll start to say that if you still remember well, before the GLU take over, then there was during the DA then government. If you still remember well, when you check then the finance of the city, it was so low, and the review collection was so low, and that cost the city, you know, a downfall. So that's why if now maybe then when you check some parties, then they have a query. Even ourselves, then we did have a query because we are checking in terms of the informal settlement which we are having in our township. Then this since it's been there since 1994 up to now, there was about 108 informal settlements since from 1994. But when you check then how much then did we develop it? When you check it's about close to maybe let's say maybe then 10% or maybe then 15%.
Yeah, but they're talking a huge backlog in terms of
yes. So in that level, but you know, if the budget was a key part, we didn't have enough budget, and we have to struggle, you know, to do a collection and come and plan to ensure that the city go into the right positions. That's why when it does this issue of the adjustment, then we support as African Heart Congress because we understand where we come from, because the budget was not then enough when we take over during the DA government.
Yeah. Looking at that, and just that kind of instability, if you like, that would have existed in that period between the DA government in the city of Johannesburg, the GLU, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. How do you see that kind of picture playing out? Firstly, let's look at the Gauteng province. If you look at those numbers, they tell you that currently there's a possibility that the coalition might be the thing that we are looking at in the Gauteng province, but also even at a national level, if indeed the African National Congress stays where it is, which many polls are predicting will be more or less the area of about 42%. It would need another partner or partners to come in with it to be able to take it over the 50% mark to formulate a government. Do you think this is going to bring instability in our province? Is it going to bring instability at a national level?
I would say yes, if us as a party we are disciplined, you know, and we put the interest of the people first. You know, there's two things. If we are the parties, then we are just serve our own interest. We don't serve the interest of the people. Then there will be that kind of then problem. There will be no stability. But if we serve the interest of the people, then there will be stability. I think we have to start from there.
All right. What are you getting right in the city of Johannesburg in the government of local unity right now? That is, in your view, has improved even revenue collection and certainly setting things off on a better footing?
As you know, I'm heading the women's settlement. I'm the chairperson of the women's settlement. And so far, the process of realignment is already then started. Because of last time we just passed in the budget. Then some of the informal settlement, the old formal settlement, which then have to be realignment. We are going to start then to realignment all those informal settlements. And at the same time, there was a two land, you know, in Rabarich. You need also the development must suppose to take place in that level, so that you can remove those people from the informal settlement and replace into those a land. But the problem which we are facing is that when we check in those informal settlements, there is this undocumented people where they give us this stress. You'll find that this person doesn't have a proper document. And when the government, the city, the officials go and start to check, then the people who are supposed to be allocated in those service stands, then the person who doesn't have a document, go and take then the young boy who have maybe then 21 years somewhere by, and just bring it into that particular then a space. And when you start to say, no man, this man doesn't have a proper document, then when the community start now to react, then what's happening? This young one is claimed as he's owning that shack, go and open the case against this community, and the community then get arrested. Because now these people are claiming, are using our own children, and that is a stress which then we are facing. That's why we are saying the best way, then we need the government who will start now to mobilize. That's why if you check our manifesto, we are saying if we have power to be part and parcel of the government, what we are going to do in the first place, we are going to increase this Home Affairs officials who are dealing with these undocumented people. Each and every municipalities, we support to have those offices so that we can assist the municipalities. When we start to take that progress, start that project, we know that we have Home Affairs, then we have SAPS, then we have a GMPT. So it's going to be easier then, so that when we run the process, we mustn't say that, no, we are doing xenophobia. We are doing things right. So it's what we are trying to do. And we have requested there with the MMC of Finance, we need that kind of budget so that we can start to develop our informal settlement.
Yeah. Interesting that you bring that issue, because I wonder how much of those local government issues would have played a part in these elections. These are national elections. These are elections about legislation that is made at national level. They're not really about those particular issues. But we saw, of course, the battle within the political parties being played there. Speaking of Rabbi Rich, about 2-3 weeks ago, you would know that there were people that were
grabbing.
That was grabbing land that were evicted there. How that particular issue has been handled, do you think has any bearing on how people are interpreting particular political parties and their promises, and this is beginning to reflect in those numbers that we are seeing there? Particularly if you look at Rabbi Rich. The people of Rabbi Rich, for example, would have been upset about how they were handled, and therefore they would react at the polls and how they vote.
No, that is true. If you check then the numbers, the majority of people then didn't go to vote, because when you go to the informal settlement, sometimes you can't even enter in those kind of informal settlement, because they start to react to say they've been there for many years. Yes. And that is a frustration. And remember, some of the land belong to the province, and the human settlement in the province are the one, is the key. Then after they've done whatever they're proclaiming is where they hand over to the municipality. So then we have to wait. If then this land, if then the province quickly then try to speed up then the process, then those people who are supposed to occupy then that land. The delaying come from the province. That's why these people then start occupying that particular then land. Yeah. Because remember this land before, the city then trying to buy that land. Then when the Mashaba come, reverse that process, and then from there, then we start from that level. Then who's supposed to approach that land again to bring back the land is the province. So province they approach it and negotiate it, and after then they've got that land is where they transfer the land to the municipality. That's why all things start to be. And now there are people who have occupied. Now the municipality does have a power. With that, yes, and it was so hard. It was so hard. And also remember we are different parties, and if you check also then the MMC of safety, they've got their own manifesto, so it was so tough to say that, hey, there's a problem there. So at the same time,
So they can't, because that would be also in contradiction to their manifesto. Although they said, of course, they don't really support lawlessness, but certainly they do want to support those people because they say they've occupied that land for years. So they must not be evicted from there. Your big proposal is for the adherence, not even a changing of the constitution. The way that you're reading it is that there needs to be what, 5% of migrants allowed in the country. How are you interpreting that?
Yes, we need those people who will come here and do a business, not those come here and do as job seekers. Because even, last I was in Zimbabwe. When you enter there is a process, there is a strict, they will ask you, where are you going? And you must explain. When you reach that particular village, you'll find a state committee in that particular village waiting for you. And they'll ask you, where do you come from? And you'll say them from South Africa. And they'll tell you then, how long are you going to stay here? And you must explain. And when you do the explain, then the day come, before the day, the guy will come straight to you, say, check, then tomorrow is the last day. Yeah. And obviously then we have to do that. And you have to make sure that when time arrives, then you have to go back. Right. So that shows that government understand, they try to build a control of the people who enter into that country. But South Africa is open for everyone. That's why then we lost our culture. That's why we don't have directions. Because then, obviously, when we have a lot of people, look what's happening in this flat in Joburg. It's owned by outsiders. But myself, who are the citizen of this country, I can own then one of the flats. Because they will question, one of the officials will say, then you can't. But those people, then they can own the flats. Yes. How are we going to finish up the issue of the drugs? That's why we are saying, if then it's us as African Congress, we form part of the government, then we are going to make sure that we bring the unity. There's NGOs who are against the drugs. One, we support those NGOs, and we bring more support of the unit, who will be specializing with the drugs, day and night, 24/7. But if you check then South Africa, it's just only the NGOs who are always there on the ground. But when you check support from the government, it's just short. So that's why we are saying, if we form part of this government, we will support those NGOs and we create more unit who will support the issue against these drugs in this country. Look at our youth. Then it's a mess. It's a mess. We don't have our youth now. Most of the time, if you check now, that's why then the turn-up is so weak, because of, look, all the corners, there's a youth, 120 there in a corner. They're not thinking about the future. They think about something, maybe they can get beers, weekend, they can rob someone there, so that the Friday they can enjoy. But that's why if you check then our theme, we are saying we want to bring people's dignity back, because our dignities are gone. That's important. And I want to touch on that, because you are saying part of the things of bringing back dignity, for example, you're saying this is a people's manifesto. When we say it's a phrase that maybe most parties are using, that's the people's manifesto. But you cite places like Hammanskraal, you cite places like Tsanin, places like Giani that have got no water. But you look at the Limpopo province, overwhelming support so far, especially in those rural areas. For the African National Congress. Maybe you can say Hammanskraal is a different picture that would emerge. Currently, the Tswana municipality being run by the Democratic Alliance. Are you saying these people are not seeing or even feeling this kind of pressure that you are feeling as the African Heart Congress around these issues of water? We believe as African Heart Congress, this issue of water, man, I don't understand in our government. And what we are saying as African Heart Congress in terms of the water. I've traveled a lot. I start from the area called Jamela. I go to Belevia. I go to then Malamulela, which is the area called then Matiani. There's the Matiani village, there's the Joseph Den village. Then I was there. Does it have water? If you go to Amantata, where I read the manifesto, does it have water? They knock the water, maybe they get water once a week. When you go to the Krumuk also, it's the whole area Bochum. Then they get water in once. Then that's why we are saying, if we form part of this government, we are saying around the main tank, we'll just make a borehole. How much then the borehole cost? Doesn't cost even 30,000. Last I was there in a village called then Matiane there, during the launching of the manifesto of the African National Congress. That was right in Malamulela. From Malamulela to that particular village is about 15 km. But then there was about close to 500, 600, or maybe 1,500 buses. But then they managed to collect those people who doesn't have water from those villages. And if you check one bus, how much that bus costs? It costs close to 20,000. But if you combine that 200 buses, you can do much boreholes in those villages, so that the people of Matiane and those Bochum side and Mantata and get water, because just 3 meters away from the tank you borehole also, and you put a tank. We have a solar panel. Doesn't need maybe electricity. Solar panel, then you pump the water into the tank. Whereas we are busy then fixing those pipes. But because of there's a lot of the corruptions which is taking place, that's why people then are suffering.
Do you think you're going to get enough, I mean, when we get to 100% of the votes, to be able to give you leverage? Because I hear you saying if you can be brought in and be part of the government, be it at the provincial or national level, you can make some worthwhile contribution. Are you looking at those numbers, thinking you might be able to at least get enough for you to have that degree of leverage, even to go to a party like the ANC and say, well, we can donate a seat or two?
You know, our target for the seats of national, it was 7. But when you check now, really, we are surprised, but we are not then surprised. Then we understand some of majority of our people are not then registered. Some then they voted from that side, some they voted supposed to be this side, then they are that side.
So section 24 you think could have affected you?
Yes, yes. So indeed, you know, if you check the numbers now, then we are going there. We still have a time. If you look at the percentage there, it's still about 50. And we are still there. And I'm still hope that we still have more from the metros. The metros, we still have more. And also even the Limpopo, then we still have more coming. So in that note, I think maybe around 11 o'clock, we're having something. We'll be somewhere around then 20,000. But we'll be in. We'll form part of the government. Remember, here in Johannesburg, the NC, I think, have about 90. But who was the speaker in the city of Johannesburg? Was how many seats? Kobe have one seat? 1 seat, yes. But then there was a speaker of council. So that one,
the smaller party then playing a bigger role.
Bigger role. You know, they can help me maybe maybe with one. I say, okay, I want to be the president. So that one can happen, you know? And so, but you know, that one can happen. So 1 seat is very potent.
Look, we are watching. 11 o'clock is not too far. It's another 9 hours or so. So we'll watch carefully that board and see how you fare as the African Heart Congress. But let me thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
A part of our coverage here. All right, we are, of course, doing the 24-hour coverage. I'm live for you here at the National Results Operating Center, and we have been in conversation with the African Heart Congress. They're in the government of local unity. They would have hoped that at least in Limpopo and at least here in Gauteng, they would have made a better showing, but they're hopeful still with those numbers, especially from the metros, still to come in some of the big voting blocks where the numbers are still being collated there for us. Right.